Sarah.
And we've got a Solo Jazz Saturday for you. Today we're going to be talking about solo jazz techniques and ideas to help make your moves flow together better.
So when I'm thinking about solo jazz, I like to think about having all of my moves in 3 different main categories as far as movement goes. So I like to think about moves that are stationary, so they stay in place, my body can move, but I'm not really going anywhere. I like to think about moves that are linear, so I go side to side or forward and back. Moves like that. And then I also think about moves that are rotational. So I'm thinking about those different directions, turning around, side to side, front to back, staying in place. And then when you're putting moves together, you can think about continuing the same motion or changing it. So every move, you have a choice. So say if I'm rotating, I have the choice to continue rotating with a different move, or I can change it. Linear motion. When you're dancing, you want to mix everything up. It's helpful to think if you have a theme, so maybe you're rotating a lot and then you've got things here and there that emphasize and stand out, or maybe you're doing standing in place a lot and then you do a really big rotational thing. So having a theme, like moves that you're doing a lot, is really good, but you also want to have contrast. So you don't want to just be all over the place with your moves, but you can think about, okay, well I'm turning a lot. What happens if I do a really linear motion? And that'll help kind of break up the moves that you're doing. So you're not just doing a lot of rotating or doing a lot of one thing. The exercise that I like using to help me figure out how to transition between moves is to literally just pick 2 random solo jazz moves and try to put them together. So I can pick this move and this move. Okay, so how can I put them together? It might be easy, it might be a little bit more difficult, they may not go together very well, but putting your brain in that space of trying to transition between the 2 is a great place to be. And you can come up with more than one way to do it too. Maybe you're, oh, like that works, or maybe it does something different. Maybe a lot of moves can transition between different groups, like a Suzy Q can go rotational, you can turn around, or you can go side to side, or something like that. So a lot of moves can change, and you can also change moves, and maybe it's not the exact same thing, but you can change it to what feels good for you. It's a great way for you to experiment with different things, learn different moves, and get comfortable with them. We're not showing you any examples because we want you to come up with your own instead of just copying what we're doing. And so you can think about things, and different things are going to feel good to different people. You can come up with whichever ones that you like the best.
Level changes?
Yeah, level changes. Another thing you can change about your solo jazz are level changes. So you might do something that comes down here. You might do something that stays at a regular height. You can also do things that move up. You can think about it levels, like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. So you can take different moves and experiment with different levels. Like a move down here will look a lot different than a move up here, or adding a jump to a move. The way I like to experiment with that is picking a move and trying it with different levels. So what happens if I do that move here? What happens if I move that move down here? What happens if I'm down here on the ground doing this move? The more silly and ridiculous you are with it, then the more creative you'll be as you're dancing these moves. And then you can start to put them together. So you can try different level changes as transitions. Doing something, maybe you come down here and change the direction of it. So that it all starts to fit together. These are 2 kind of specific ways of thinking that can help you figure out what to do instead of just, oh, I did this move. Okay, now I'm doing this move. Okay, now I'm going to do this move. It'll help you flow between them.
Yeah, playing around with those ideas, those shapes and directions that you're going is a great way to really explore certain moves, because moves aren't just like There's all sorts of things you can do with each of them to make them flow together better.
Yep. Don't don't be afraid to change moves. Lindy Hop's all about creativity and innovating and trying new things. So just because attacking Annie is done this way, doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can try different things. Have fun experimenting.